You know, guys, honestly, at this point, I really don't know what to pin it on more as far as the dysfunction on offense goes. Whether it's the scapegoat and the whipping boy that like 99% of this fan base loves to pin it on and, blame every single problem that we have on offense with, or if it's the quarterback who we've all labeled as the franchise guy and the future of this team moving forward. Because if you ask me at this point, especially after seeing last night's game, the answer is somewhere in the middle. Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody. I am Mac, and I am back with another video. This is my Tuesday overreaction following last night's 26-22 victory over the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the box below. So like I said, to say that there are huge issues to fix with the Pittsburgh Steelers is a massive understatement, but I don't know at this point who to pin it on more. Okay? Because if you look at the score last night, 26-22, your first thought is probably, wow, the offense had a good game for once. The offense was clicking, This was probably a breakout game for Kenny Pickett. Maybe the run game was doing well. Oh, George Pickens had to have gone off in that game. You would have only guessed one of those things to be correct, and that was George Pickens. And the rest of the offense, man, the run game, very hit and miss. And as I said last night, Najee Harris, I'm done with the guy. Does not go through progression at all. He's still dancing around. He's still missing open lanes. There was a point where he had -2 total rushing yards last night. And with the 2-point conversion that we attempted last night where he's lunging over the goal line to get it, and he fumbles it in the process. Sorry, dude. Like I said, if I was GM, I would not give you a 5th year because I'd be like, look, buddy, we're going to let you finish up your rookie contract, and then we're going to let you walk. If you want a 5th year, it's going to have to be a prove-it year for you. But Jaylen Warren got a couple of decent gashes here and there, but the run game, like I said, very hit and miss last night. The wide receiving core outside of George Pickens, Calvin Austin had a couple of decent plays last night. Pat Freiermuth, who wasn't even expected to play in the game, didn't even get a target, and neither did Darnell Washington, who this is the first time for this entire aspect of the game I've called out his name. Allen Robinson got limited targets as well. He was another guy that needed to, come up and make an impact because Boykin was expected to not play as well. Offensive line was still awful as well. Could not block and could not protect Kenny Pickett. This O-line is definitely going to get him killed. Chuk's taken 2 false starts as well. Definitely didn't help. And then, of course, the only reason that we got 26 points is because 14 of those points came from the defense. And yeah, I know there were times where the defense was just terrible last night. Kind of looking like a bend but don't break type of defense last night where they were giving up big plays. They couldn't make a tackle. They couldn't stop the run. When Nick Chubb was in the game, we couldn't stop the dude once again. Jerome Ford, Cleveland's second string running back, had a big 69-yard gain against us where the interior over pursued. They missed him. They opened up a lane. They missed their assignment, and he nearly took it to the house. Watson had a couple of good runs as well. So, the run defense suffered drastically last night. No ifs, ands, or buts about that, aside from a couple of good plays by Quan Alexander and Landon Roberts. The pass rush, as I said, was great because, like I said, 2 touchdowns on defense last night from a pick 6 on the very first play of the game, and then TJ, obviously, what turned out to be the game-winning score on that scoop and score touchdown off a strip sack. Pass defense was atrocious last night. Levi Wallace dropping as easy of an interception as you could possibly get. Interception that I probably could have caught, okay? Patrick Peterson constantly getting beat, constantly missing tackles. But the defense was ironically the only reason that we were even in last night's game. So what's that leave? Two things. Comes down to the two things that a lot of Steeler fans are starting to voice their opinions on. We know it was Matt Canada from the start, but now we're starting to get a hold of Kenny Pickett. Okay? This is the second week in a row that Kenny Pickett did not have a good game. This guy is not off to a good start to the season. And this is the dude that we took in the first round of the draft last year because he was homegrown in Pittsburgh playing for the Pitt Panthers at the very same stadium that the Steelers play at, because we were confident that he was the guy moving forward from us. And in 2 weeks of this season, he is looking more like a rookie than he did all of last year. And it started early with him. First read. There was a play in the first quarter. Calvin Austin's wide open, but nope. Kenny Pickett doesn't even look in his direction. The 3rd and 2 play, which is the epitome of what this offense is, in my opinion, because some Steeler fans say it was a bad play call by Matt Canada once again, and I agree. It was a bad play call. It's 3rd and 2. You have a guy who, as far as I'm concerned, is a short-distance runner in Najee Harris at this point. You take him in the first round of the draft, and you have no confidence that you can use him to get 2 yards to get a first down. So yes, it's a bad play call, but the execution was just as bad, and I would argue worse than the call. Because Kenny Pickett, again, scrambling to his weak side, he sees George Pickens being in multiple coverage, where defenses know, hey, 14 out there, he's a big playmaker in these kind of situations. We saw the catch that he had against the Browns, ironically, early last season, where he one-handed it, sprawled his entire body pretty much at a vertical angle, and made an unbelievable Odell Beckham-like catch. This guy is a threat in traffic. And what does Kenny Pickett do? Never takes his eyes off of him, forces a pass into double coverage, and it gets intercepted. Okay? Like I said, you want to blame it on the play calling? I don't disagree with you. It was a bad play call. But the execution at the same time was awful as well. More bad decisions by Kenny Pickett too, where he is scrambling in the third quarter to start the second half, mind you. Again, staring down Pickens in multiple coverage, and he's running towards the sideline. At that point, you have to either run out of bounds or throw the ball out of bounds. And forces a pass when there's 3 Browns on him, and he is very fortunate that that wasn't intercepted as well, because they dropped an easy interception. Should have been picked off. Kenny Pickett again, missing guys, throwing behind receivers, scrambling. It's just bad decision-making by Kenny Pickett. And he could very easily have cost us this game last night. Defense was there and it bailed him out. Kind of like in the 90s when Bill Cowher was here and the defense had to constantly bail out Cordell Stewart. Or they had to bail out Neil O'Donnell, Mike Tomczak. In the early 2000s, Tommy Maddox. When I first became a fan, Tommy Maddox. You see what I mean here? It's getting to a point to where if you don't call out the blatant problems that we have as far as the offense goes, whether it's the bad play calling, again, the terrible execution on the end routes, the terrible execution on the misdirections, the bad play actions, the bad jet sweep actions by Calvin Austin that Matt Canada tries to execute. Every route being the same once again, where they're low risk, low reward, where they're high risk, low reward slants and hitches and curls that are barely 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, resulting in nothing. It's getting to a point to where if you don't call out these problems, whether it's the play calling or the quarterback, you're pretty much admitting defeat. And you're pretty much going with the same narrative that you're like, well, this team is still building and the team is still, learning. Guys, this team is built to win. This team is built to go out there and compete. We are not rebuilding anymore. We believe we have our quarterback. We fixed up the offensive line in the offseason and upgraded it. We supposedly fixed up the pass defense in the secondary. We fixed up the interior linebacker. We traded up to get probably the best offensive lineman in the entire draft. And the result is the same week after week with this offense. And like I said, I don't know who to pin it on more, Matt Canada or Kenny Pickett. Because aside from Mike Tomlin doesn't run the offense. Mike Tomlin, we all know, calls the shots on defense. So I'm actually excluding Tomlin from this video because this is an offensive problem that we had last night. Okay? And yes, I know the Steelers made a lot of dumb mistakes last night. Okay? There's no denying that. A lot of idiotic mistakes. Peterson jumping off sides on the extra point that the Browns were attempting last night when they got their touchdown to make it 9-7, I think it was. The false starts by Chooks. Patrick Peterson constantly missing tackles. Gunnar Olszewski not letting the kick go out of bounds to put us at the 40-yard line for better field position. Okay, those are player mistakes right there. Matt Canada don't go out there and do that. That's the player's fault right there. What Matt Canada is responsible for is the play calling. What Kenny Pickett is responsible for is his poor decision making. You are growing these problems are growing drastically. And if you're getting to a point to where you're not willing to work with the quarterback, you're pretty much giving up on your window and you're still going with the back pedal of, well, it's a young team and, we're not ready to go up elite competition. That is just a big cop-out for why you're not executing on offense, and I won't take it. Plain and simple. Period, point blank. And if you heard the game last night, if you heard the fans in the crowd last night, I heard them, even though I was talking the entire time during the stream. You heard those fans, 65,000 fans last night, booing the offense. From the very moment we took the field, there were boos raining down on the offense. And like I said at the beginning, who were those boos directed more towards? Was it the quarterback or was it to the offensive coordinator? In my eyes, I think both. And like I said, if you're not willing to call out these problems and you're not willing to build off and improve with these problems, open up the playbook, incorporate Kenny Pickett's ability to be able to use his legs in the pocket, to have his maneuverability, have the receivers create their own routes, incorporate some posts, incorporate some wheels, incorporate some flats. If you're not willing to work with that, you're not only giving up on your quarterback who you took in the first round of the draft and saying he's not the guy, but you're also giving up on yourself. And that creates a lack of confidence for the offense to do anything. So the main point of my overreaction for this is we won the game, good job, because of the defense. But it's getting to a point to where if your defense is going to be your offense for the whole season and you have to rely on the defense scoring 14 points to your 12 points on offense, you ain't going to compete against anybody. And I know that we had injuries going into last night's game, but it doesn't matter. You would think that with a quarterback who started most of last season, who's in his sophomore year, who has now more than enough experience to elevate his play style to that next level and take that next step, that he'd be able to orchestrate better decisions and he'd be able to process decisions quicker, because the NFL is quick. You have to have a fast mind to be a quarterback. Split-second decisions. And Kenny Pickett so far is just not cutting it. I'm not giving up on the guy yet. I'm not saying he's a bust. But I'm just saying, man, when he plays badly, I'm going to call him out on it. And we're 2 weeks into the season, and Kenny Pickett has not impressed me so far. As a matter of fact, I'll even go as far as to say he looks like the worst quarterback in the AFC North. He probably even looks like one of the worst quarterbacks in the AFC, maybe even the NFL. But the main point of this overreaction is the very worst the Steelers can do is realize that it's the offensive coordinator's problem. Or the very best that we can do, I should say, is realize that it's the offensive coordinator that's holding Kenny Pickett back, and we finally give Matt Canada the boot, get a new OC here, and Kenny Pickett starts to play like we're hyping him up to be. And it's like, hey, it was the offensive coordinator. Or Canada's gone, we get a new OC here, and Kenny Pickett is still playing badly, then you know you for sure have a quarterback problem. But if you ask me, the answer on who to pin this on more is smack dab in the middle. The play calling is horrendous, for sure, but Kenny Pickett certainly isn't doing him any favors as well. And he certainly isn't doing the team any favors as well, especially the offense. Matt Canada will doom Kenny Pickett for as long as Matt Canada is OC. We won the game, but in my eyes, there's no such thing as at least we won. The both of you have to do better. I really don't know how else to put it. You got to do better than that. This was a game that we probably should have lost. And you guys certainly didn't help out the cause. Anyway, that's my overreaction. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. This is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.